Well, let's take a proactive approach first. And that would be to say, before something like that actually happens, how can a church be better prepared or equipped for an event like that? We all hope it doesn't happen. We all are looking for ways to prevent it, not just be prepared for it. And one way, really, is to actually, I think, understand some of the child protective laws in your state and why they're written the way they are, and to understand not only your obligation, your legal obligation to report, but actually understand how there's something very redemptive about adding that to the process, that we all live under government. Notoriously, we're afraid of the social system and reporting and all of the chaos that can ensue from it, and there are a lot of fears and dangers about it. But there are also ways in which the laws were written that protect the innocent and protect the innocent from the guilty. So I think sometimes even just helping churches or Christians understand that the very laws that scare us at times can also be the very laws that protect us and are beneficial. We've seen way too many examples of churches that have tried to handle situations like this by themselves without bringing in the legal system in places that they were supposed to and mandated to, and how that actually wreaks havoc on a church, not just legally, but even some of the mistakes that we're prone to make by not understanding some of that well. So I think just being proactive would be trying to understand why the laws were written the way they were, how they actually are helpful in protecting the innocent, not just condemning the guilty. And then how do we incorporate that? Are there policies we should have for our church? Are there policies for our volunteers? Do we have them do screenings or criminal or abuse checks to give our families a sense of safety and security in the church? Are we aware of what are the rules in working one-on-one with teens or children? Do we pair our mentors up? Don't we pair them up? There's just wisdom in saying, how do we not be too reactive, but how do we be proactive in saying we always want to protect our flock, we always want to protect the people in our body. So I think they're just really proactive principles. You know, when is it helpful to have a lawyer involved, when isn't it? When is it helpful to have a chain of command, that if there is a need to report, who has to report to who tells who first? How do we go about handling that? When is it made public in a church? When is it kept private for respect and confidentiality? They're wisdom issues, but if you're proactive in thinking them ahead of time, you're going to be much more prepared for the times that it does come up. There are some churches that I've seen handle situations like this just beautifully, and they've come alongside families who are just broken apart. Let me back up for a minute. So some of the struggles a pastor or a church could find themselves in is especially when both the victim and perpetrator, for lack of a better word, are both in the church at the same time, and then they feel torn between who do we reach out to, how do we handle one versus the other. Are we supposed to try to reconcile them? Are we supposed to keep them apart? Does one leave the church? Doesn't one leave the church? Those are all the complexities of wisdom in the moment, and how do we handle this well. So I think in a lot of this context, churches that have handled them really well are churches that understand the depth and complexity of all those issues and don't try to minimize them or make quick fixes, because there is no quick fix. Especially when you've brought in the legal system and there are investigations. Churches that are just willing to be patient and walk through it thoughtfully and wisely with integrity are those that serve the victim and the victim's family really well. Now we're talking mainly about children, so you just see how it's not just impacting the child, but it's impacting parents, it's impacting siblings, it's impacting families around the family who are seeing this unfold, and they feel fearful for their own children, or they're in shock over how could they have missed this. Because 90% of the time it's child abuse occurs with somebody the child knew. It's not stranger danger. It often is somebody in the church or a relative or a family member, someone you least expect it. So you have a sense of betrayal and trust, and will they ever recover, and is there hope for my child? Will this damage them for life? And churches that handle this exceptionally well are those that just walk through that thoughtfully. They surround the family with support. They realize it's not just the child that often needs help, it's the parents that need counseling, or the siblings sometimes. It's a process of just the body of Christ coming around them and loving them well and walking through it without pat answers, without quick fixes.